FENNEL is one of Japan's finest esports organizations, synonymous with the boom of esports within the region. FENNEL had consistent top teams from varying game titles, but Identity V was definitely one of the more interesting games this team is currently in. Despite being a long-time organization within the game, FENNEL in Identity V is not synonymous with greatness, but rather mediocrity. A team that can stand within some of Japan's strongest teams, but never held that title themselves. So when the team faced a round 1 loss against Chinese team Action Culture Technology, it seemed as if FENNEL was going to have the same story they've had for many years, a team that will always be average. Yet the rest of the match shows us why this year FENNEL is different. FENNEL with their map pick selected Sacred Heart Hospital, a move that's meant to have their survivor roster take the win as Hasha has a hunter pool strong enough for the map. After a tie from Hasha's Hullabaloo, FENNEL now has a chance to try and win this match. The ban picks start as they block the QS and quickly select Enchantress to harass against characters like Goatman and Peddler, and a Puppeteer that's meant to be problematic for other meta options. With the Gravekeeper ban, the team selects Escapologist, as in a map like Sacred Heart Hospital, there are multiple chair slots that allow good rebound kites. Lucky Guy ban stops FENNEL from having a flexible and low-risk decoder, while Aeroplanus opens the door for an additional Tide user, whilst also being a legitimate threat if left unchecked due to his slightly fast decoding speed. ZZ9 would select Peddler, and for a couple of reasons. The composition is neither good or bad against Peddler, but Peddler has multiple skills that allow her to flexibly adjust against what the survivors might do. With the addition of Peepers, ZZ9 can block off key looping areas and focus on finding survivors, all the while giving her additional cypher pressure. For FENNEL, a win is the goal to even up in rounds, while for ACT, a tie is enough to ensure a point and round lead moving into round 3. The game starts with ZZ9 chasing Katsuki, the Aeroplanus, who would dodge her first find with a hover jetpack, allowing the FENNEL survivor to rotate towards Shack. But with Peepers available, Katsuki is forced to jetpack away, and a weave saves Katsuki from taking an early hit. By the time that Katsuki goes down, 3 ciphers are almost done. A winning game is within reach for FENNEL, but with no items for Aeroplanus, rebound kiting seems rather impossible. Puppeteer takes the first rescue with the goal of simply moving Katsuki away from the ciphers. Unfortunately, Katsuki still gets chair near the last cipher, forcing Escapologist to move his chair, but allowing ZZ9 to put 2 peepers and lock the cipher before heading out. Maiken gets a Palitson and a free rescue, and Kat is able to finish his cipher to officially support Katsuki. Unfortunately, Kat dies pretty quickly before he can use any of Enchantress's stacks. Maiken continues to try and support Katsuki, but a beautiful play by ZZ9 sees him switching his straight from Peepers to Blink to secure the down, and ZZ9 can deny the force heal, which means FENNEL needs to pop the cipher. The only problem? He can no longer switch to teleport and stop the gate. Maiken gets stunned by Divine, but Kat's 3 stack stops ZZ9 from getting the down. The gate opens and Puppeteer and Enchantress try to stop the Peddler Vine from stunning Escapologist, but a large curve from ZZ9 still hits Maiken. One stun stalls a bit more time for FENNEL, and Puppeteer...
It's a detention,
Oh
but
my
no, it's
God!
Puppeteer that goes for the block, and there you have it, a 3-man escape. That's a win on FL side.
But the story doesn't end there. With FENNEL taking the second round, ACT still has the point lead, and therefore, FENNEL would need to win the third round as well in order to take the dub against ACT. Against 2 tie characters in Balmer and Wildling and strong kiters Meteorologist and Acrobat, Hasha would select Opera Singer, eyeing for a potential 3 or 4-man elimination. Hasha opts to chase X-Meow at 4 stop, but Meteorologist manages to kite a decent chunk with 1 cipher almost done and 2 ciphers almost 70%. 11 goes to Boar early and takes first rescue, with the intention of simply having X-Meow go away from the ciphers, and XY's second rescue aimed to do the same thing. With X-Meow dead on chair, Hasha goes to teleport to 11 cipher, but the Boar proves too difficult for Hasha to really do anything. Meanwhile, Sen pops the second to last cipher, but it also shows that all of the remaining ciphers are only on one side of Moonlit River Park. In most circumstances, it's still a tie though, but Sen gets caught in second stop and a missed red ball gives Hasha a free hit. Hasha switches targets to continue pressuring Cyphers. He forces 11 to hop on board once again, but XY gets caught in the open and gets downed. Hasha decides to slug, but the wildling gets the heal on Shen. Hasha forces another boar on 11, slowly but surely reducing the time on boar, and immediately switches on the acrobat. 2 balls are used by Shen to avoid a hit, but the survivors went for a heal and therefore no Cyphers were progressing as the acrobat used a second fireball. Hasha now switches to wildling but quickly returns to the 4th stop Cypher and eyes on the Embalmer. Embalmer goes down without borrowed time, but Coffin allows him to bring himself back up. But Shen is caught near 2nd stop, and a late vault causes the acrobat to go down significantly early, while XY rotates away from 1st stop gate. But now, Hasha knows where this Embalmer is located, and after chairing Shen, is able to chase the Embalmer. After Hasha forces XY to rotate towards OP kiting, he heads back to the chair, and once he's recognized 11 was not yet near the chair, he full chases XY and downs him. However, Wildling does manage to get the rescue, but Hasha realizes that Shen played behind tent, and 11 hops on board to try and body block for Shen. But by the time he does get on board, Hasha has already taken Shen, and in turn secures the 3k for the team. All it took was a single mistake from the acrobat, and Hasha proceeded to play the late game perfectly to gain the hard-earned win. FENNEL survivors would secure a win against a pressured ZZ9, and this match just shows how good FENNEL is when they're locked in. It's not just their survivors pulling off a crazy clutch, but their hunter managing to capitalize from a late game that many other players would deem a tie.